Unique Pathways is sponsored by Piedmont Realty Holdings, building better together. Bellaterra Landscaping and Hardscaping Services. ECS Prosthetics, we come to you. Jeff Burton Consulting, charting your path to a successful outcome. Major League Mindset, results on and off the field. Blue Sky Property Management, own your experience. BSN Sports, the heart of the game. And by Croze Sports, community, family, and sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to say that Season 2 of Unique Pathways presented by H3 Sports is coming to your airwaves very, very soon. I am once again your host, Ben Rekosh, bringing to you some great conversations, some interviews, and all of the above from your favorite athletes, your favorite coaches, your favorite media personalities, and everybody just talking about, kind of how they got to where they are today, and especially who helped them get there. All of these people have unique paths to their journey, to their destination, but ultimately, as I believe, the journey is greater than the destination in these sports. And those are the kind of stories that we were trying to tell. We had a great Season 1 of Unique Pathways presented by H3 Sports. Once again, thanks to the incredible board of H3, keeping those three core values together of head, heart, and hustle through everything they do, everything that we do here at H3 Sports. Really appreciate as well Jeff Burton bringing me along and Andy Huffmyer producing all of these shows and making some magic happen on his end right there. So really appreciate that. Once again, really appreciate everyone tuning in to Season 1 of Unique Pathways presented by H3 Sports. Before we kick off Season 2 over the coming weeks and months, just wanted to give a quick recap of Season 1, all of the great conversations that we had there, some incredible coaches, some incredible players that we talked to on Season 1 of Unique Pathways presented by H3 Sports. Once again, thanks to all of our sponsors for making everything we do here possible, making this show bring to life, and making it be able to be available nationwide, worldwide even. It's available as you're listening to this, as you're watching this. It's available YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Stitcher, wherever you find that. And then, of course, the video version is on YouTube as always. So once again, really appreciate everybody tuning in. I am really, really excited for Season 2 of Unique Pathways presented by H3 Sports. We have an incredible lineup of guests, some really, really cool stories to tell. But first, I just want to share a quick little clip from an incredible Season 1 that we had, going down memory lane a little bit, hoping we can learn some stuff, and as always, get entertained. So enjoy this little package of Season 1 of Unique Pathways presented by H3 Sports with those incredible interviews that we had there. And as always, if you're not subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. Please be sure to follow on whatever your platform you're watching on. And if you want to be so kind as to leave a review, and maybe if you listen on Apple but you have a Spotify account, go help us out and just follow there. Even if you don't listen, it'd be great if you listen on both platforms, but it really does help us. Now, as always, those reviews, those comments, everything like that, positive or negative, it really helps us out. So a 5-star review would be great. Even if you have some negative things to say, a 1-star review really helps us know what to get better on. But anywhere from 5 stars to 1 stars, all those reviews help. Writing a nice little note in there just to show the people, show us what you really appreciate about this show. And as always, that support does not go unnoticed. So without further ado here, let's take a little look back on memory lane of Season 1 of Unique Pathways presented by H3 Sports. And stay tuned for an absolutely incredible Season 2 coming up here next week with some great episodes coming to you every Wednesday. So as always, subscribe and let's roll it. I'm your host, Ben Rekosh, and our guest today needs no introduction. If you are a fan, if you are a follower of UVA baseball, he is the starting infielder, freshman number 9, the Charlottesville Tom Sox single season home run leader, Henry Ford. Henry, pleasure to be with you today. Really excited to get into this.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so you started out the season on just a tear, 7 home runs, 35 RBIs, 17 extra base hits. That's at the time of this recording here. So simple question here, what's your mentality when you step up to the plate?
Um, Really just to be competitive as I can, and just to be a tough at bat. No matter if I get out or if I get a hit, like just trying to be super competitive and just beat the pitcher and hit a ball hard. To be honest, like really simple approach, like not trying to do too much. And luckily the results have worked out.
I want to take it way back, going back to McIntyre Little League.
Yeah.
What do you remember from those days? Because Brian O'Connor recently called you in an interview. This is a direct quote. He called you a Little League legend in
Yeah.
Charlottesville. So, how do you take that?
I mean, it's flattering. Those were, great days. I remember those, like they were yesterday. And, just playing ball with your best friends after school. And in that league, it was really competitive league, when I played in it. So, I have great memories, playing against, not even like all the home runs or like the hits or stuff like that. It's just, hanging out with, the fellas and, playing super competitive games against other teams, playing against like my best friend, but Preston Burton was like on our rival team and we would, play all the time. So, they also the All-Star, the Little League All-Star
Yeah.
teams were super fun. I remember like my 9-year-old year, we went to Grundy, Virginia, which was in the middle of nowhere. And like we got rain, it was like a rain delay for like 5 hours. So like we were playing chess, like and like middle of nowhere, Virginia, just having like a blast. Like it was fun. It was good times.
Yeah, some great memories there at McIntyre Little League. I watched an interview with CBS Sports, and you described a memory of when you hit 3 home runs playing against Oak Sun.
Yeah,
Do you remember that day? Do you remember
I
that
do.
day? Yeah,
Yeah. No, I'll never forget that day. I mean, I was super excited. I knew he was going to be there, so I wanted to do well. And because I obviously wanted to go to Virginia for a long time,
yeah.
and so that was a big moment for me. And then yeah, like I said in the interview, like he kind of came up to me the next day and was like, "Take it easy on him today," and that was really cool.
Different from basketball or football in the way that there are a fair amount of guys that commit before they even play a game
Mhm.
in high school. You're one of those guys. You committed to UVA in December of freshman year. I mean, just basically how much a no-brainer was that? It was an
Yeah,
easy choice.
yeah. I mean, I've been going to games since I was like 2 months old. I always wanted to go there. It's forever.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got the call, I was like, yeah, there's no place I'd
Yeah.
rather go to. So it was always the dream and the plan to go there.
You've gotten mentioned on a couple of top 10 freshman lists, top 10 infielders list. Does any of that stuff matter to you?
To, I mean, it's flattering to see that, but at the end of the day, no. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, I just want to help my team win. And whatever way I can do that is what matters most to me. And I know in my heart and um, that I'm good, and I believe that,
Yep.
and I'm always going to believe that, and I believe I'm the best, and I'm always going to believe that. But I mean, it's definitely flattering and it's humbling. But at the same time, I'm more focused on just helping the team.
University of Virginia women's lacrosse assistant coach, also a former UNC women's lacrosse player, current USA national team player. So quite the resume for only graduating a couple years ago. But it is none other than Kaylee Waters. Wahoo Nation might not know the name, but they should, because this is quite the story and one that I'm very excited to tell.
Thank you, Ben, for having me. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
hearing your voice. Sounds like you could be an announcer for sports or something.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. So I want to first get into representing your country at the highest level. It's obviously quite the honor. It shows the type of player you are and the type of person you are. How meaningful is it to you to be able to contribute at that level and then ultimately bring home the United States' ninth title in the World Cup in 2022?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate to have played on the U.S. team, the World Cup team in 2022, but especially being able to have started in 2014 and just, meeting all the women who I had played with in 2014 that won in 2017, and they had been with previous World Cup teams. And so just having so many teammates, they've really helped me learn a lot, grow a lot as a player, supportive, a bunch of fun. So athletic, and then just representing USA that just like, it still is kind of unbelievable to say and feel that, but being able to, at a sport that I passionately love. And for those of you who don't know, lacrosse is now in the Olympics in 2028. So super psyched that on even a bigger stage, lacrosse and USA lacrosse will be there. Yeah, I'll try not to be too wordy with this because I am very appreciative of where I came from and my family, friends, and support system that helped lead me to lacrosse. But essentially, so I have three brothers and they played a bunch of sports. My parents, they were both coaches in a lot of sports. They're both divers. And my dad kind of coached me a lot in many sports. I was always wanting to do what my brothers did. And in fifth grade, I remember some of my friends started playing lacrosse for the town, or they just had this like young girls kind of clinic that I missed out on fifth grade. I was playing other sports. I played football, baseball. I loved tennis, basketball, swimming, diving, etc. And soccer was also big. So then I remember going in the sixth grade, and I was like, I really want to play lacrosse. It's at the time I would have called it FOMO, but that word wasn't there yet. Fear of missing out. I just wanted to be on the lacrosse field because that's what my friends were doing. And I just wanted to be out there hanging out with them. And I remember, I would hang out with my friends in fifth grade and they all had this lacrosse stick and they were trying these quick sticks. And, I had friends who would go to UNC camp and tell stories. And I had a neighbor who gave me a girls lacrosse stick because at the time my brothers were playing, so I didn't have one. Thought it was the coolest thing ever. So just starting lacrosse at that later age when I had been more developed just mentally and physically, I think that's what really connected me to the sport because I felt like I had to do it on my own. When I was younger and I was starting these sports, you're not as like cognizant really of what you're doing. You're just like your feet are out there and you're just like trying your best. But this, I really felt like I had to hone in on my skills because I didn't want my friends to be better than me. I didn't want to be a step behind them, even though I, started later. So that kind of helped kickstart my love for this, or the passion for kind of working and playing lacrosse and training. And so I played a couple years on the travel team or like rec team for my town. And I remember they need a goalie. Goalies would rotate. I somehow always got to miss out on that because I went to soccer or baseball, whatever. And, a couple of the parents who knew me were like, no, we've got to try Keely. We think that she'll be fearless of the ball. So I was like, okay, fine. I very much so just like kind of went with the flow of things. And my best friend in high school, her dad actually, I'll never forget my first lesson with him. And I thought it was so strange and uncomfortable. I didn't like standing in the cage, feeling so solo in there. I very much so was like someone who liked scoring goals kind of thing. So the deal was, okay, Keely, I'll play goalie if I can also play a half of a field position. And that didn't really go through the whole season. Yeah, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Just never forget. One time I got back checked and I was like, that sucks. I really didn't see that coming. And, there's just a lot of people telling me the potential of goalkeeping and what. So I was just like, all right. And then in eighth grade, I broke my leg. Okay. And I missed the lacrosse season. So that's what, and then when I was healing from my broken leg, it was kind of like my mind was kind of already in the direction of goalie sort of thing. I think because they're like, oh, we'll need you back in goal or whatever. So that's when I just centered my focus on goalkeeping and developing that. And I'm very fortunate that, the town does have a lot of lacrosse resources. The parents, the families, the leagues, they helped subsidize that for me because being on a club team is expensive. I have three brothers. And so I guess it kind of was like there was a demand, right? Everyone needed a goalie, but there wasn't really a goalie. So, hey, we can kind of help you out. We will have you here, doing some clinics. And so I'm, just very appreciative of my town and families supporting me in that sense.
Nic, I want to ask you something real quick. So you've been on the player side of football for probably as long as you can remember. Now you're kind of on the mentor training side sometimes. What do you learn about the game and maybe even yourself and your game through doing this on the other side of the lens?
I think one of the biggest things I've learned from playing and kind of mentoring is kind of just, how much of a benefit like having confidence in yourself is. And I think like you can see that a lot with, people like who played from their freshman year to their junior year. Like you'll just see the change of just like not even their body doesn't change that much. They don't get that much bigger and stronger. It's just kind of they've developed like that confidence in their own head of like, what they're actually capable of.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about some of the adjustments that you had to make going from 8 to 11. Were there some struggles schematically, or was it kind of seamless going there?
This might sound kind of crazy to you, but so basically what I learned is like defensive schemes are so similar to like across the board for that all teams run, whether it's offense or defense. And as crazy as this might sound, like playing Madden like actually like helps you learn and like understand schemes like at a crazy level. You wouldn't even understand like just
that's
if you played on a serious way.
That's mind blowing to me.
For me, like it's understanding fronts like something as simple as like running a nickel defense on Madden, calling cover 3. And like I'm calling that, or calling cover 2. Like I'm calling that to take away underneath routes. If I'm on offense and someone's running cover 2, I know I have the whole shots on the outside or a deep post in the middle because those are the open zones. Like you just understand like what certain zones give up. You understand like what certain calls are trying to take away. You understand stuff like, the importance of like, let's say you're in cover 3, the importance of the zones moving with the quarterback's intent just to take away those hole shots. Like in cover 3, the hole shots are the seams and stuff like that. Like all that stuff I learned from I knew from Madden. Like if I saw a guy in cover 3 in Madden, boom, I'm throwing the whole shot right away. Like stuff like that. Like obviously it's a little different in real life because everyone's moving like in a better way because it's real people. But like I don't know. I just think conceptually, like it helped me a little bit actually, like just understand playbooks.
Where did the name Vici training come from? It's kind of a word you don't hear every day. What does it have any meaning?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. That's a great question. Basically, what it comes from is from Veni Vidi Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered, and the whole goal is to work with people who have conquered and overcome things in their life. So in this case, a lot of times it's the athletes that we're working. They've conquered and the athletic journey, and so having these people who've conquered things in their lives work with the next generation of kids or young student athletes to conquer and overcome whatever obstacles they're facing. So it's working with the conquerors to help the next wave of aspiring student athletes to conquer whatever it is in their life. And I want this to be more than just about athletics. I want them to conquer whatever it is. I hope that one day Vici can be about conquering things as a student or a musician or whatever you want to accomplish in your life. Like have that confidence to attack it, because a lot of the skills that I've learned in athletics have translated and been a big reason for who I am today, and being able to approach it with that same mindset and have those same kind of processes and apply those to different areas of people's lives, like building whatever a generation of conquerors, as corny as that sounds, is kind of like the goal.
Yep. Ryan is the all-time points leader at Western Albemarle, former member of the Swarthmore basketball team that made it to the D3 championship in 2019, among many others. Ryan, when people first talk about your athletic accolades, what comes to mind for you? Is it all-time points leader at Western Albemarle?
I think it's tough to say. I mean, obviously, I'm very grateful and appreciative to have that title. I think it's, there's been so many great players at Western throughout the years. And I wouldn't be able to, have that record if it wasn't for, Coach Maynard and, all the teammates that I've played with throughout the years. But I don't know if I would really define like my success as a basketball player with that record. I think just, being a part of a bunch of different teams and, being able to experience, a lot of success in college and just throughout my whole career is just, it's been tremendous. And I was so, grateful to have a lot of success. So.
Yeah, this is an H3 podcast. I want to look at how pivotal H3 baseball, H3 sports, and everything like that was surrounding your development, and how much those experiences with those people kind of lifted you up, not just on the baseball field, but off of it also.
Yeah, definitely. So H3, obviously it's head, heart, hustle. And those, are kind of words that I tried to live by growing up as a young athlete, and as a teammate. I think if you do those three things, I think any coach is going to want you on their team. So obviously that's very crucial. And funny story. I think my dad was actually the one that came up with the phrase, the head, heart, hustle.
Really?
That was in football. I think it was football season, maybe. Coach Burton, I think, was an assistant coach, helped us out. And that was kind of our like team chant whenever we got into a huddle. So we would say head, heart, hustle. So it's always been, a part of my childhood and growing up. And, obviously the baseball bunch was the first time that I kind of was a part of that like organization. I don't know if that's the right, like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Part of that organization. That was a pretty special group. I got to mentor some young kids. Case and Kuhn was my mentee. And that was, it was just a really special group, and it was great to, be able to mentor someone at such a young age. I think it's really, really important. I think, one thing that we always talked about at Swarthmore is really like striving for excellence. So I think you can obviously, most people say like strive for perfection, but I think that last little piece is almost impossible. Like nobody's perfect. You can't really be perfect. So if you strive for excellence in everything that you do, you're going to ultimately be successful. So that's one thing that has really stuck out to me. I guess one other thing is just, embracing adversity as well. And trying to learn from, the challenges that you go through in life. Because, ultimately you will, and just kind of trying to embrace it and learn and grow from that.
Chris McGarren. Chris is a H3 sports lifer, a Western Albemarle High School graduate, and a manager for the UVA men's basketball team for a couple years. Chris, my first question for you is that you've worked all your life at this sport that you love, and serving the UVA basketball program with each of the pillars in mind. You have it on your shirt right here. For years as a manager, and then finally earning the honor of dressing for 2 games, not to speak of senior night as well, which we'll get into a little bit later. So before we talk about your story and how you got there, I want to know kind of what that moment was like for you, hearing that you were going to be able to dress and potentially go in a game for the first time.
Sure, yeah. And thanks for having me, Ben. It's funny because that was, I think going into my 4th year, I had accepted that probably wouldn't happen. And I was okay with it. One of the things that Ronnie Weidman, our director of operations, told me when I first interviewed and with him, because it was my dream to play. That was how my initial start in the program was the walk-on tryout my first year. And Ronnie just told me to approach everything with open hands. And that really related to the pillar of humility. And that was something that it took me a long time to learn that. But by, I think, the start of my 4th year, I just accepted, the best way I can serve this program is by being a manager and by doing the best I can each day. And
putting aside the thoughts of, of course it was still there,
Right.
a desire, but, realizing that, okay, that's not what I can do best to serve, each day. That was when it was actually given to me. And it was a gift. It wasn't something I could really earn on my own. That was something that Coach Bennett, Ronnie, the other coaches, players, it was a gift from them to get to do that. So, yeah, it was a great moment. Coach got everyone together after a practice, and he had a jersey made for me and told me I'd be suiting up for the season. And so it was a moment I'll never forget. That's for sure. One I did not expect at all.
That's incredible. And then walking on the floor in your fourth year, I think it was a game against Lehigh. What was going through your head at that moment right there as you went to the scorer's table?
I don't think much, frankly. I was just in the moment. I was definitely nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, by that point, I'd played on that court a lot, but not with fans in the building.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think just going back and I don't know, I just trying to make the right plays when I'm out there and
Yeah.
play, but there wasn't really time, I guess, to think about much else.
Yeah.
I think it was more after that it started to sink in.
What happens after that first tryout that you do? It's 40 minutes, and then you get a text or an email a week or two after saying we want you to be a part of this team. And then how does it work that you decide that you want to become a manager? Do they come to you and say that we think you would be a really good fit, or do you tell them, hey, I'm interested in this position? How do I apply? What's the process? What does it entail, and things like that?
Sure. I got a text. I think I don't remember. It was a couple days after the tryout, I think, from Ronnie asking if I could make it to practice that afternoon. So I showed up and played in practice that day. I think that was a Monday. And then was there for the rest of the week. And then at the end of the week, Ronnie gave me another call and just said, hey, the walk-on spot wasn't there for me. That wasn't where my aptitude was at the time.
Yeah.
And he said, well, but we'd like to, offer you a spot as a manager. You can still play in practice. And so I think I took a day to think about it, called my parents, and I think by that point it had set in that, like, okay, this is it may not be what I had in mind. Like, I wanted to be a walk-on.
Yeah.
It was clear that wasn't in the cards, but here's a chance to be a part of, maybe winning a national championship this year. And so I went for it.
That's incredible. Very, very special guest, Erik Jones Jr. Erik is a champion in 2017 with the Charlottesville Tom Sox in the Valley Baseball League, a champion in 2017 of the Atlantic 10 baseball tournament with the Davidson Wildcats, Minnesota Twins, Seattle Mariners minor league player and bullpen catcher, and currently a member of the Savannah Bananas. So, Erik, my first question to you is kind of what's it like being a part of the Savannah Bananas? Is it all that's hyped up to be on social media? Kind of what's the experience of being able to foster a new generation of baseball fans all across the country now?
Yeah, being with also thanks for having me on. Super stoked to be here. But being with Savannah Bananas is an experience unlike anything else. The in-person experience at the games is really second to none. It's kind of like almost like being at a concert where everybody's going crazy the entire time. The games are only 2 hours, so it's really like packed with energy and excitement. Um, the in-person experience absolutely lives up to the hype of everything you see online and more, I would say, because you're just not able to capture like truly how electric every game is. And the rules are set up to where every game basically comes down to the wire. The ninth inning is always really high stakes and just nerve-wracking and exciting. So the games absolutely live up to the hype. The experience as a player is really, really cool because so many people come to those games and it's tough to get tickets, so they really appreciate being there. And we have lots of stuff set up to where they get to interact with you as a as a player, and they're really appreciative of those moments. And so you get to have these really cool one-on-one interactions with other fans, and it's really unlike anything else I've experienced in the baseball world. And I'm really grateful to get to be a part of it. And was there a last piece of that?
No, I was just kind of mentioning how you're able to bring up a new generation of baseball fans and sports fans into something that kind of fits really well into the modern culture. So I kind of wanted to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we really like pride ourselves on, is trying to appeal to that younger audience and kind of bring back the love of baseball to some of those fans that maybe aren't as interested in traditional baseball anymore. So we kind of offer a different take on the game, one that's really fast paced, one that's tailored to kind of short attention span generation that's coming up, and trying to appeal to really everybody. So if you come to a Savannah Bananas game, it's got something for everybody. It's got something for, you know, guys, girls, old and young, people that like baseball, people who don't like baseball. So it really kind of hits every demographic. And, there's nothing better than having people say that, they stopped playing baseball and now they're playing baseball again, or that, they've had their love of baseball renewed. So
what have you seen about the importance of summer baseball, both as a player and as a person, kind of last minute? I wouldn't say last minute, but really quickly having to mesh with all these teammates that you've never met before. And then all of a sudden you're ranked as the best team in America. You go on to win the first championship in franchise history, X, Y, and Z type of accolades. So kind of what do you take away from that in a larger perspective?
Yeah, I think that summer baseball is really the closest like taste of professional baseball that you can get, because you're playing close to every day. You have to show up to the ballpark every day, play the game the night before, show up, do your practice, get your workouts in, get ready to play again. So you don't really get that experience in college too much because you're only playing 3 to 4 games a week, and you have classes and you have other things to do and think about. Whereas when you go to summer baseball now, it's like baseball is kind of your job, like full time. And I think that like for college kids, there can kind of be some resistance to that a little bit just because you're not used to that. But if you really like buy in and understand that like this is what you're doing every day, all the time, and it's your job to play and then recover and get ready to play again, um, it can be a really amazing experience, and it can really kind of show you whether or not you want to play professional baseball. And then when you got a group of guys that are kind of bought into doing it together and going through the grind of the everyday process and playing together, working hard together, then you can kind of get a really special thing going on. And I think that's kind of what we had in Charlottesville, and what some other, just teams in Charlottesville have been able to do. Just get together, work hard, and accomplish some really great things. I love being in Charlottesville, and the people were great all across the board, and they treated me really well. And it was a great experience.
I know that right now you're on a tour of major league stadiums in America. And so for maybe people who haven't seen the Bananas on social media, or for people who are unfamiliar with what you all do, just really quickly, 10, 15 seconds, can you explain, how would you describe what the Bananas are?
Yeah, I like to say the Bananas are kind of like a cross between a concert, like a theatrical play, a baseball game, and like a movie. So you kind of have all these different elements of entertainment going at the same time, where the players are competing really hard to win, but then if they get hit by a pitch, they're going to go into some theatrical piece that's already been planned, or
Yeah.
they're going to do a theatrical walk up to the plate. We're going to have like music going the entire game that people are interacting with. You're going to see people dancing on the field and then making great plays. And you really, they change your perspective to where you realize when you're on the field, you're an entertainer, and that sports are ultimately entertainment for people. So the goal is to get people to keep watching. So anything you can do on the field to catch an eye or to take full advantage of that spotlight that's out there.
Yep.
Do it.
And that was a great recap of the exciting season 1 that we had for Unique Pathways presented by H3 Sports. What a group of guests that we had on in there. Just so many names to choose from. So many stories. One of my favorite segments that we do is how we wrap up every show, and that's just asking some people for their general advice. If you want to know more about that segment, you can head over to our website, h3baseball.org. Sort of get a look at, what people have said in the past towards just general advice, whether it be about their sport or life in general or anything in between. Just that's a really cool segment, and I think that it travels much beyond what the sports field or the sports court can entail, and it kind of emphasizes the message that we're trying to preach here at H3 Sports, and really just keeping those 3 core values alive of head, heart, and hustle, and showing people that no matter what path you take, you can get to where you want to be in the world of sports. This is an incredible world and an incredible avenue and an incredible industry for people of all shapes and sizes, people of all roles, and just incredible to see that happening there in season 1 with so many different journeys to get where they're at today in their special, unique ways of life. Hinting there at the title of the show. But thanks again to Andy Huffmyer for producing that, for producing all of our shows. But that was absolutely incredible there to just recap a little bit of what happened in season 1. And once again, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, all of those fun things. We'll be out on social media a little bit. So if you want to follow me, I am at Ben Rekosh on all social medias, on Twitter, which is now called X. There's a little underscore between my first name, so that is at BEN_REKOSH. As always, stay tuned to our H3 website, h3baseball.org. Keep up with the latest news, and you can follow us, H3 Showcases, as well on social media, on Twitter, which is now X, and a bunch of other methods just to keep up with us, keep up with the show, and keep up with all the great things that we're doing here at H3 Sports. So once again, thanks everybody for tuning in to this little recap. We have some great stuff, so I wanted to preview that for season 2 a little bit, just making sure that everybody is stay tuned, subscribed, and ready to get off a great season 2 of Unique Pathways. Once again, I am Ben Rekosh, the host of this incredible show. Thanks to H3 for helping us put it on, and thanks to all of our amazing sponsors, which you'll be hearing more about in the coming weeks and months. So without further ado, check your subscription box. Next week, we have some great episodes coming out. Can't share those guests yet, obviously, but when you do, you'll know it'll be a good episode. So thanks for tuning in, and as always, stay tuned and have a lot of fun.
Unique Pathways is sponsored by Piedmont Realty Holdings, building better together. Bellaterra Landscaping and Hardscaping Services. ECS Prosthetics, we come to you. Jeff Burton Consulting, charting your path to a successful outcome. Major League Mindset, results on and off the field. Blue Sky Property Management. Own your experience. BSN Sports, the heart of the game. And by Croze Sports, community, family, and sports.